Welcome, everyone, to the Hollywood Casino 300. 4 races remain in the Firestone Champ Car Challenger Series season. Saturday night is all right for fighting, and we have a championship fight ahead of us here. Race 2 here in Kansas. Tomorrow will be in Watkins Glen in New York for the Champ Car World Series, because they've got 5 races left to go this weekend as well. The clock is ticking on this weekend. Everyone trying to chase down Rachel Koivuniemen, who entered the weekend with a 56-point advantage. That gap was eaten into a little bit by Isabel Espinosa, but not by much. Can the same be said again today? Koivuniemen, because of the inverted field, will start ahead of Espinosa. Those two at the top of the standings there going in. Conversation around Maria Chavez. Can Maria Chavez crawl back into the conversation as well after being almost 2 races behind going into this weekend? Going to be very interesting to see. They're going to line up alongside each other on the front in row 4. The inverted grid saw the lead lap cars all inverted. That puts Maria da Mata and Jace Clark at the front of the field. Jace Clark on pole position. There were 18 cars that finished on the lead lap last night. 34 cars will take to the grid, though, for this event. So let's go ahead and walk through the starting grid here in Kansas for the Hollywood Casino 300. It is Jace Clark and Maria da Mata, Black Rose Racing teammates, on that front row. Nara Takarasi and Sora Hoshino in row number 2. They will follow the front row to the green flag. Karina Amara and Rika Venäläinen, they sit in row 3. Then it's Rachel Koivuniemen and Maria Chavez, 2 of the main championship contenders in the top 10 to start this race off. Roberto Crown Jr. and Mia Vitsu, they round out your top 10 on the grid in row 5. Then you have Aspasia Megalos and Seth Smith Jr. Isabel Espinosa and Isabel Lantra sit in row 7. Then it's Rex Riley and Katerina Milinkovic in row 8. Row 9, this is where you find last night's race winner, Bianca Lucero on the outside, Kira Moore to the inside. So Lucero with the race win last night, going to try to do the same thing again from equally as far back in the field. Lucero did not have a great starting position in the race yesterday, but moved forward, was able to be productive. We'll try to do the same thing here today. Row 10, these are drivers that ended up that will start where they finished last night. So Katrina Ochoa finished 19th last night, will start 19th here. Keisha Fox in the 20th spot rounds out the top 10. Then you have Dale Blanco and Sonia Walker. Asada Quito was in the top 22 at the finish last night, but because of his engine failure that he saw back in Milwaukee, he will start dead last today. It moves everyone else up a spot. Karina Sakurauchi and Emily Polstrix, they start in row 12 ahead of Satomi Ray and Yumina Mizuno. Felicia Zappa and Natalia Kurachenko, they sit in row 14 to start this race off. Yuya Ishii and Valerie Fang among the retirements yesterday as well. They line up in row 15. That's 29th and 30th for them. Arashi Seto and Luisa Floros in row 16. The final row of the field, row 17, is Jake Carter and Asada Quito, as we mentioned. Quito with that penalty. Everyone else either being part of the inverted field or being classified where they finished, not on lead lap yesterday. So it's going to be a huge talking point going into this race. Obviously, going into this weekend, Rachel Koivuniemen had a 56-point lead on Espinosa. That was closed into a little bit here. Going into race 2, it's now a little bit closer to 40 points, not quite 40 points just yet. We talked about it last night. We'll talk about it again. Espinosa needs to outscore Koivuniemen by more than 10 points a race. She didn't do that yesterday. It wasn't by more than 10. So it's going to apply more pressure here today, and it's going to apply more pressure going into the remainder of the season when we look at Chicagoland in just a week. Then we head to Ensenada for the race at the street circuit there in Baja California, and then the season ender in Atlanta. A lot of races up for grabs here this remaining part of the season. Felicia Zappa getting a lot of gain, or what we thought was going to be a lot of gain there. We'll see if she can maintain that momentum here. We'll send it trackside.
Drivers, start your engines!
For the Command the Fire engines, Felicia Zappa ended up in the 27th position last night, having being involved in an accident, not of her own volition. Had a very fast car. For Swift Autosport, that took her down a peg. Nara Takarasi did not have a great race either. Ended up in the grasping at straws here, 16th position yesterday. Maria Chavez obviously starting alongside the 61 of Koivanemi. Didn't get a lot of gain out of that either. So really it's still kind of between Koivanemi and Espinosa at the top of the board. Chavez, though, a lot of distance being placed between herself and Jake Carter for that last transfer spot, that last promotion spot, which is 5th place. Gonna try to do so here. Carter starts 33rd. Chavez in the top 10 will try to keep all of that alive. It's the Hollywood Casino 300. Hollywood Casino just located off of turn 2 here in Kansas. It is Jace Clark and Maria D'Amata, the teammates, to lead the field to green here under the lights in Kansas once again. Saturday night, the fight's alive. We're racing in Kansas. Welcome to ABN's coverage of the Firestone Champ Car Challenger Series, immediately 3 wide with Rex Riley on the bottom. But everyone beginning to move. And you're going to see this very quickly. 3 wide to start. It will not last very long. I saw quickly how that outside lane just is not a viable option right now. Jace Clark will lead lap 1. Keep an eye on Karina Amara, the 4 car for Faceporia Racing Team, going to the front now. Clark led lap 1. We had 44 lead changes last night, and we've already seen 1. All these teams, all these drivers experienced a lot yesterday. Was not allowed to get back on the racetrack until getting ready for this race. There was no warm-up practice or anything. Caution is out, and there's a huge accident. Multiple cars. That's Venäläinen. That is D'Amata involved. Vitsut, Keisha Fox. That's Sonia Walker with a lot of damage. Looks like Valerie Fang got a piece of it. Under caution for the first time, Sora Hoshino also involved. And we're under caution very early, and you see where all this cluster was. This was all, and you see Maria D'Amata, that 8 car, that Ipiranga yellow and blue car, is where it's going to start here, going through 3 and 4. This is a replay of the opening lap. Everyone really bunched up here, and it starts actually on the bottom of the racetrack. That was Espinosa trying to get to the inside of Vitsut, and you see all the cars up and around. Hoshino going for a wild ride. And that started with Espinosa and Vitsut. A huge accident there. Let's go ahead and rewind that, because that was a wild time. Wow, this is going to be an interesting look here. Vitsut obviously looking to the inside of Maria Chavez. Chavez just shuts the door on Vitsut, so I think that's more of Chavez coming down the racetrack in front of the 35. Espinosa's in the door, and it looks good, and then just fortunately Vitsut comes down trying to avoid Espinosa's teammate there. Espinosa almost spins out as well. Really good job saving it for the 26. But you're going to see very quickly this kind of gets out of hand. Both the Caterpillar racing cars out of this race. And Hoshino is going to go for a wild ride. So does Venäläinen. And the 87 the 87 Venäläinen and the 30 of Milenkovic. But a huge accident there. Takes out several cars, involves even more, close to a dozen cars at this point. And it'll re-rack us here to go green once again. We had an early caution yesterday as well, but not nearly as significant as that. D'Amata, Venäläinen, Fox, Vitsut, Walker, Milenkovic, and Hoshino all out of this race. Asada Kita, the last car running at the moment. There's Valerie Fang I think the only driver from that incident that survived the incident. Extremely unfortunate there for all of those cars out on lap number 1. Did not even get to complete the full lap under green. It will be Karina Amara, though, and her teammate Aspasia Megalos for Vesporia Racing Team leading the field to green now. See the lights on the Ford Raptor Pace truck is out. So we are going green at the end of this lap. So one lead change. That was from Jace Clark to Karina Amara. See if we're on pace for those 44 lead changes we saw previously last night. Revs begin to build as the field gets ready to go back racing following the first caution of the night on lap number 1 here in Kansas. A wild multi-car crash. The pace car takes the left-hand turn onto pit lane. Amara, Megalos, and Riley lead the field to green. We're back underway, and keep an eye on the 61 and the 67 of Koivanemi and Kira Moore. They were aggressive on the initial start, and they're aggressive now. Here comes the 67. The Canadian going from 5th up to 2nd in 1 lap. Mara's still going to lead on this restart here, but Moore on the charge. And just like that, Moore's going to get to the front of the field. This will be our second lead change here, but you've got to make it back to the line to actually lead the lap and grab the bonus point for it. Looks like Moore's not going to be challenged to the line here. Koivanemi closing a little bit through 3 and 4, but so is Rex Riley. Kira Moore officially a lap leader here in Kansas, and here comes Rex Riley on the inside lane and pushes the points leader up top. Here comes Jace Clark, the pole sitter as well. We are already down 7 cars. We're down to 27 cars running from 34 starters. Keeping an eye on Rex Riley here. We've had 2 lead changes so far, from one Canadian to another potentially. Moore, the Vancouver native. Here comes Riley side by side. Riley from Toronto. I believe that was Riley that led that lap. I believe we did just see our 3rd lead change of the night. Waiting for confirmation on that as they cross the back straightaway here. But here comes Jace Clark once again. Riley did lead that lap, but we're going to see a back-to-back lead change here. The pole sitter back up front after leading the first lap. Here comes Megalos forward once again. Very reminiscent of what we saw last night. Inside lane going to be preferable. No one really able to hold the yellow line in the corners. Well, the white line here in 3 and 4. Everyone's sitting right now in the middle. Here comes Lucero trying to surge forward. Megalos in 2nd still. 88 working against the 57 of Sakurasi. Roberto Crown Jr. trying to crawl forward as well. Right now sitting in the top 10. In 9th. Sorry, in 8th, excuse me. I had Seth Smith Jr. who was in 9th. He's been passed since by his teammate Felicia Zappa, who's been moving forward once again. A great car in that 50 machine, even with the backup car. So Smith down in 10th, but both Swift Autosport cars right now in the top 10. Here comes Lucero. Quickly on the scene in the top 5. Trying to find a way around Riley and Koivuniemen. Lucero trying to go back-to-back here. Hard to say that Lucero does not have the opportunity to do so. And now up to 5th. And immediately looks to the inside of Koivuniemen to get around the points leader, to get around the 61 car, and move up to the top 4. Everyone right now chasing down Jace Clark, circling around the back of the field. Emily Polstrix now at the back, just behind Isabel Espinoza, who was not damage-free from that lap 1 crash. There's Tommy Ray in the 04. Natalia Kurachenko and Valerie Feng, who had a little bit of damage there, in the mix still and battling, trying to get into the top 20. Beginning to enter that stance now. We are through the opening 15 laps of this race, so we're going to start beginning to see the tires begin to fall off and where these drivers sit on their long run cars with everything they learned last night. Similar conditions here today, just a little bit warmer, and that will have some effect on the tires, but it's after the race we had last night, very easy to forecast that. Look at Luisa Floros moving forward as well. Floros all the way up into the 9th spot now after starting 32nd in the field. And look at where Lucero is. Lucero's already moved forward to the front of the field. But here comes Kira Moore once again. So we're going to have 6 lead changes here in pretty quick order. Lucero is going to drop down off the podium steps pretty quickly. A lot of cars have come to fight once again. Rex Riley, the 72 car, had a really good car yesterday as well. Was not out of the run possibility to see Rex Riley to be in the mix. But look at the run Lucero got in 1 and 2 on the back of the 72 on the outside lane. And will try to pass in the outside lane as well. Won't work as well in 3 and 4. Or will it? Lucero might have that car really dialed in. No, it will not. The drive out of 4, not where Lucero needed it to be. But valiant effort. Lucero really stuck with it. Riley up to 3rd. It is Moore leading, Megalos in 2nd. Mira Takarasi, Moore's teammate there for Frostfire Racing, in 4th now. And then it's Luisa Floros ahead of Roberto Crown Jr. So the 2 remaining Black Rose Racing cars still in it and still fighting well. Here comes Asada Quito, who started this race dead last, 34th. And has been on the move since the green flag. Shaking and baking his way forward. Comes Lucero once again, moves to the inside lane. Over under Jace Clark. And you look at the run that Roberto Crown Jr. just got there on Takarasi. Really good run for the 10 car. That puts Crown in the 5th spot. Everyone's still chasing down Kira Moore at this stage of the race. Very clear who's taking care of the tires a little bit more to begin the surge forward at this point. There's Quito moving forward, and it's surprising that he's taking care of his tires as well as he has to be in this position right now, having moved through 34 cars in all the dirty air and all the debris, because he was back in the back of the pack when that accident happened on lap 1. Look at Lucero just drive around the 10 of Crown. Outstanding work there for the San Marinese driver, trying to sweep the weekend here in the Challenger Series. It'll be a taller order. Floros up to 4th. A lot of hard chargers so far in this race. Riley trying to work on the 67 again. Riley led 1 lap. Moore has led 9 at this point. Side by side, teammates. This time it's Floros getting around Megalos there. Chero in 5th. Has a really open door to get around the 66 and get clear before they get to turn 1. So Lucero up to 4th. Riley has stalled out a little bit, trying to keep up with the 67. Kira Moore still looking for her first Champ Car win as well at this point. A chaotic first 25 laps in the books here at Kansas Speedway for the Hollywood Casino 300. Riley got right around Kira Moore that time, but here comes Floros. Floros has a couple poles this season, but no wins. She's the only Pace Poirier driver without a win so far. She'll take the lead and give us our 7th lead change of the night. And Riley drops down to 4th. Lucero trying to drive around the 67 or more. Trying to and will do so. 2nd place she goes. Now she's got to really crawl forward and get to Floros here. Quito in 6th. Shadowing Megalos there. Crown in 7th. Jake Carter, another driver from the last row of the field, up to 8th. After a very bad performance last night. Almost completely throttled his chances of making it into the top 5 with how things are looking right now. Lucero challenging for the race lead into turn 1 on Floros. The performance that Lucero has put on now that she's in the Challenger Series with her teammate Rika Venalainen, with Obsidian now putting all of its efforts in the same basket, showing why she's a 2-time Atlantic champion, why she was the #1 rated prospect in the Champ Car ladder system. Chero out front. Gives us our 8th lead change of the night. Now everyone's got to really try to make something happen. Floros battling with Moore for 3rd. And here comes Crown around Quito for 5th. Really good racing so far. Everyone really thinned out and ready to go. And Simona Mizuno now in the top 10. Del Blanca right now in 11th place. Koivanemi in 12th ahead of Isabel Lantra. Felicia Zappa there in the 14th position ahead of Nera Takarasi. Karina Sakurauchi in 16th place ahead of Arashi Seto. Maria Chavez a little bit further down the order in 18th spot, but I don't think you're going to see Koivanemi complaining about that too awful much. Kurachenko and Amara battling for 19th here. Seth Smith Jr. dropped down to 21st. Katrina Ochoa in 22nd. You see Valerie Fang, Satomi Ray, and this cluster of 5, including Isabel Espinoza. This is a huge benefit to Koivanemi right now. Everything that Espinoza's gained so far, she's about to lose in spades at this point. Both the Yanjiang cars in the back of the field as well. Neither of those two were involved in the accident on lap 1. They just have not had it put together here in Kansas. They're right now with Fang and with Amity Pulstrix. Lucero, though, flying at the moment, doing a fantastic job. Floros trying to stay in touch. We know how dangerous Lucero was last night. Showing more of the same here today. Right now, this is kind of a best case scenario for Koivuniemen as things stand. Koivuniemen just outside the top 10. But so is all for immediate challengers. Right now, big gains in place as things sit. You look at Megalos into the weekend, 7th in points. Megalos didn't really have a very notable race last night. A little more noticeable so far today. Look at Jake Carter, he's 6th in points going in. Had a really bad night last night that really hurt him compared to Chavez, but right now could swing that back and at least neutralize that gap with 3 races to go. Still a lot of racing left to go here. Koivuniemen in the 13th spot, been passed by Lantra. Sakurauchi up to 14th, and here goes Felicia Zappa down the order with Nara Takarasi. So that's going to help out Koivuniemen even more, knowing that, again, more of her direct championship competitors right now not having a great start of the day. Again, these teams, most of them have not been down pit lane yet in this race. Pit window about 62 to 66 laps. Sorry, 62 to 64 laps, excuse me. So a pretty easy 3-stop race as things currently sit. Cars coming down pit lane can obviously make adjustments to the front wing angle, add more downforce if they need to, on top of the in-car adjustments the drivers have at their disposal whenever they choose to use them. Temperature's only 3 degrees warmer than it was yesterday. So still a pretty reasonable track temperature. Lucero is just doing her thing right now, and Flores, to her credit, the 75, keeping in range with the race leader, has opened up an over 2-second gap to Kira Moore and Rex Riley, the 2 Canadians, battling it out for the last step on the podium. And then it's even further back to Crown and Company, where you see Megalos, where you see Mizuno, you've got Clark, you've got both of the Crystal Cove cars of Blanco and Carter. You've got Asada Quito in this mix as well. And then another little duo here of Lantra and Koivuniemen, and then another group spearheaded by Arashi Seto. And then another group a little further back. That's the last 5. Right now they are flying around this racetrack pretty quickly. Pit stops here in about 20 laps, give or take. Lap times have already slowed down about 2 seconds. The tire wear is that severe right now. Flores losing a little bit more touch with the 88 of Lucero. There's an airball test. Looks like may have been catching up on Lucero just a little bit there the last lap. We'll see how they cross the line with the time markers here. Flores across the line with a 29.7, 29.8 for Lucero. So yeah, by a little over a tenth. Flores is catching up to Lucero. Moore and Riley still holding station right now, but that's about to change into turn 3. See if Riley can get around Moore. Just like it was yesterday, the older the tires that got, the outside lane became a little bit more valuable as it went along. Lucero's opened the gap back up again. The Riley now up to the 3rd spot. You see the cars at the very tail end of the field. 27th place, Valerie Fang. Really just trying to make it to that first pit stop so they can make adjustments and try to alleviate any issues the drivers are having. Right now doing an outstanding job. 29.9 last time around though. We're at 30.1 from Flores, so Flores really struggling, and this is kind of where it was going to catch up with Flores with the tire wear, having to move through the field. Flores started 32nd, Lucero started 18th. Big difference. Another 30.1 compared to another 29.9. Another 2/10 drop there for Flores. Importantly, though, for Flores, still faster than Moore and Riley. Moore's gotten back up to the 3rd spot. Boarding pace right now with Jace Clark, who's leading the 2nd pack, the 2nd half of the top 10. Blanco in 6th, Mizuno in 7th. Megalos in 8th, Crown in 9th. Quito rounds out your top 10 at the moment. Charging forward a little bit more, Koivanami back around Lantra for 12th. We see Maria Chavez. All 3 of the Aguila cars still running. Ochoa right now in the 20th spot. Espinosa trying to crawl forward. Right now sitting in 23rd. Battle for 5th, once again raging on. And Mizuno will take 5th place away. Lap times have begun to fall off a little bit here, even more so. But again, pit stop's not far away. Watch this battle here. Jace Clark drops down the order a little bit more. Trying desperately to hold on to 7th place. Blanco try to get around Mizuno. Not going to work there in turns 1 and 2. And here comes Megalos for turns 3 and 4. Being shadowed by Crown. Big moves there. Front of the field is Lucero on an island at the moment. Zoom out for a second and you can kind of see what we're talking about here. Lucero 100% right now on an island. See off in the distance there in turns 1 and 2. There's Hollywood Casino. It's a pretty appealing destination to come and race here. Canadians once again battling for 3rd. Moore gets the advantage on Riley. A lot of understeer now affecting these cars. Whoa, and that was a car in the wall. That was Mizuno that tagged the wall. And that was a very sketchy time. Mizuno did a really good job holding on to it there, but that could have been a disaster. Team Soccer's already lost one car, losing the 09 Hoshino. Pit stop's not far away, less than 10 laps away here. And you see Moore is really left Riley in the dust here for that third spot. Top four all on their own little islands at this point. Megalo's trying to do the same. Carter trying to reel in the 66. This is the first real super cluster on the racetrack, and it's 3 wide, and it's Blanco that moves up 2 spots from 9th to 7th down the back straightaway. Really good move. Clark was the worst one out of that, and we'll lose 3 spots because here comes Quito as well. Blanco drifted up really tight behind his teammate. And we'll lose to those spots right back to Mizuno and Quito. You see the backfires from the exhaust pipes in these cars, having to get off the gas and try to coast through it a little bit. Handling a top priority right now. Top four on their own little island to start lap 60. Ishii just now starting lap 59. Losing touch here with Pulstrix, with Ray, with Fang, and with Seto. Smith battling with Espinoza and Amara. Just spreading out more and more as this run goes along. Chero leads the way with pit stops on the horizon. The race pace has dropped 3.2 seconds compared to the fastest laps. Fastest lap for Lucero was 27.599. Last time through was 30.729. This time around, for Lucero, the race leader, it is 30.9, almost 3.5 seconds is the drop, the fall off on the tires here in Kansas. So they are struggling quite mightily here at the end of this stint. Pit window is going to be open here very quickly. In fact, you see cars entering pit lane now. And caution's out. There was smoke there. When there's smoke, there's fire. And I think the car that came down pit lane, I think that was Arashi Seto, may have had a word with that. That is Seto, the 54. Or sorry, not the 54. That is the 52. I don't believe it was. Double check and see. Oh, this is what happened. It's right here. Lantra and Crown. Crown, for the most part, able to keep it out of the wall, but obviously spun and on the racing surface. That'll draw the caution pretty quickly. So pit lane open for all the lead lap cars. Arashi Seto taking emergency service due to running out of fuel. So Seto will end up being a lap down here with that emergency service. Second caution of the night. We'll bring the field forward. It'll be Lucero still in the race lead, Floros more. Then it's Carter, Megalos, and Riley there. And then Asada Quito. It looks like it's actually going to gain a couple spots here on pit lane. Looks at least looks like that he apparently beat Riley on the pit line. Well, looks like that was not the case. Arashi Seto will come back down pit lane. Only took fuel. Did not take tires. But will come back down and get fresh equipment now. And see the rest of the field leaving pit lane. Lucero will retain the race lead, but it will bunch the field back together once again for our second restart of the race for the Hollywood Casino 300. Ready to restart this race for the second time. We'll go green to start lap 67 of 200 here in Kansas. Green flag flies once again. Keep an eye on the 75. The Floros trying to get a really good jump on this. Look at this 3 wide just behind. There's a car right in the wall. That was that was Megalos being chased up the track by Riley. And they have already come unglued here with fresh tires and nothing to lose. And Megalos gets right to the inside of Riley too. Everyone tight out of turn 4. Cold tires. Everyone racing back around. Car in pit lane, that's Isabel Espinoza. Speeding on pit lane, that's a penalty. Chero continues to lead as we start lap 70. But here comes Clark charging forward once again, the pole sitter. Up to second, trying to chase down the 88. Monsieur in Kansas has looked invincible. Really trying to reel in that 88. Looking for the down the order here just a little bit. In the top 5 is the points leader, Koivanemi, chasing down Felicia Zappa as they all got around Jake Carter there, the 55. Carter gets the inside lane this time to get back around Megalos and Felicia Zappa, but they're all chasing down the top 3, which right now Koivanemi is in. Clark's going to give it his best shot to try to the field beginning to thin out a little bit here, everyone resetting. Bringing another challenge. Here comes the 40 of Kurachenko. There's the 29 of Chavez also in the mix, getting around Sakurauchi. And there's Quito in the mix as well, trying to make his way back into the top 10 after a slower pit stop. Quito right now battling with Rex Riley. Both of them were in the top 10 prior to that coffee coming out. Everyone having a chance to really reset and get things ready to go. And you see Valerie Fang now showing a little bit more scars from that lap 1 incident. Espinoza now a lap down, currently in 27th. Seto in 26th, also a lap down. Those are the only 2 cars a lap down at this point. Seeing who's got what underneath them right now. Peter really moving forward now after that setback. Set lane already getting past cars left, right, and center. Almost a little bit of contact there between Crown and Sakurauchi, a little bit further forward. So Tommy Ray beginning to find footing. And that 04 car for Yandrian Motorsport up to the 15th spot, highest that she's run so far today. Riley closing in on the top 10 once again in 13th place. So is Chavez in 11th right now. There's Mizuno up to 9th. For a brief moment, Clark had the race lead for about a lap. Now it's back in the hands of Lucero and Carter. Trying to close in on Lucero here. Really needs a really good run right now. A second place would help out a little bit. Needs to hold on to this for dear life after finishing 33rd, or actually really was 34th last night. Doesn't make things better or worse. Anything after 25th is 5 points. He's kind of stressing how bad of a night it was for him last night. And unfortunately for him, Chavez finding footing here, creeping towards the top 10, will make sure that he doesn't gain those level of points that he's really needing to gain to try to get into the top 5. Not be all end all. After tonight, we still have 3 races in the season: Chicagoland, Ensenada, and Atlanta. But he needs to move some points around pretty quickly to have a chance, and losing a spot to Chase Clark in this fashion will not help, and neither will losing a spot to Megalos, which he's able to shut the door on a little bit to prevent happening at least this lap as we start lap 85. Right now as we approach lap 90 here. We're on lap 89 right now. You saw Carter, he got a spot back on Megalos and then lost it back in immediately. And now he's down to 5th. He's behind Koivanemi, but this battle for second place has allowed Lucero to once again build that advantage up. For Koivanemi, best news you can get right now is that Espinosa is 27th and down a lap. Because that's exactly what's happened right now. That was their closest fight, and it is not much of a fight right now. Koivu has not been uber consistent on these ovals this season. Road courses have been, and especially the road courses and the short ovals, have been a little bit kinder. The speedways have not been so kind. But right now it's working out for Koivu, sitting in that 5th spot. Didn't seem like Koivu had much in that car, but now sitting up in 3rd, following Megalos and trying to chase down Lucero. Koivu finding a little bit of that speed that we saw. Really, the last time we saw this kind of speed out of the 61 car was in Fontana. Ironically, we had Jake Carter in that mix too. Carter won that race ahead of Koivu. And he's up here in the mix as well, in the top 5. Jace Clark obviously in the mix as well. He's in that car just behind that Coca-Cola Cherry machine. Kira Moore still in the fight as well, just behind this group in the 6th spot, and kind of on an island. And then this other group just a little bit further back, you got Mizuno, you've got Floros, there's the other Crystal Cove car. That's the 56 of Blanco. That's the Telsol 29 of Chavez and the 50 of Zappa. Zappa 3rd in points going in. Will almost assuredly at this point be 2nd in points with where Espinoza is right now. Chavez just a little too far back, I think, to try to make that lunge. But another benefit for Chavez right now is that Takarasi is going to slip down a little bit. Takarasi not having a great time right now either, sitting in the 15th position. Chero on her own and on a mission. Try to sweep the weekend. Last time Champ Car experience as a whole weekend sweep was Toronto 2018 at the hands of Alicia Kovalkiewicz. That was in the World Series. You're looking for specifically a national championship, you have to go all the way back to 1991. Been a very long time since we've seen someone sweep a doubleheader weekend like this. I was in Milwaukee 2 weekends ago. There was an opportunity. A couple drivers were really competitive there throughout the entire weekend in Milwaukee. Arashi Seto was a driver that came to mind for that. Finished 3rd in both races. Has been wide open, and obviously we're looking at Megalos in 2nd place right now. Everyone just trying to figure out if they can do anything to catch up to the 88, who has looked unstoppable. We knew that Lucero was going to be fast. Lucero, as a driver, extremely talented. She has done a lot in her career so far here in the United States. She arrived on the scene at Gateway, did a great job there. Didn't have really the long run speed that she was looking for. Led a lot of laps, but unfortunately just didn't have everything put together to win there in Gateway. But give us an example of sort of what Lucero is working with. Now dialing in with the team with the Champ Car Challenger Series, she has become extremely hard to beat. Now the battle for 3rd. Clark up to 3rd, Carter to 4th, Koivu to 5th. Kira Moore still on an island in 6th, Blanco in 7th. Is how we sit. We have crossed the halfway point in this race. We are on lap 101 of 200 here in Kansas. across the halfway point. So let's go ahead and do a around the grid. We have pit stops coming here in about 30 laps time. Bianca Lucero leading this race, has led the most laps so far, 71 of 101 laps belong to the San Marinese driver for Obsidian Racing Team. Got herself about a 2-second gap now over Espacio Megalos, sitting in the second spot for Faceporia Racing Team, doing a great job trying to race things back together there. Megalos 7th points entering this weekend, battling directly with Jake Carter, trying to get into the top 5 with Maria Chavez, Nara Takarasi. That fight for the last transfer position right now looking extremely tight with 3 races to go once we get through this race, if things hold as they are. Chicagoland being another 1.5 mile racetrack coming up, it's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out. Jace Clark in the 3rd spot right now. Has been a very lukewarm season for Clark. We know Clark is racing in the AT&T Cup Series in 2025. He would love to have another pretty solid result. He'd love to have a podium or a race win to end out the season on. It seems like a race win seems to be a little bit out of the equation, but a podium very much in the cards for the pole sitter here tonight. Jake Carter from 33rd to 4th has been as high as 2nd. Joseph Grove Racing driver has had a very up and down stanza in this season. This weekend, if he can get a podium, would be a very big summarization of that. Down one race, up the other. As he battles to get around Clark and prevents Clark from getting back underneath him in the same way here, but they're going to battle again for that 3rd spot. Rachel Koivanami, the points leader, looking to extend that championship gap massively with Isabel Espinosa's speeding penalty on pit lane during the 2nd caution period on lap 64. That's the gift that keeps on giving. Koivanami trying to really seal the deal. Would love to have this season really established and done before we get to Atlanta Motor Speedway, the season finale for the Challenger Series. She would love to not have to worry about going to Atlanta and face the unknowns there. She can get this season wrapped up through Ensenada. It'd make the last race of the season a lot easier there. And Ensenada is a track that traditionally the street circuits, the road courses, treat Koivanami pretty well. So we will have to see if the same thing can be said in the last road course race of the season. She's also got to get through Chicagoland as well, and got to hope that she can hold on to the type of pace that she's showing right now. So far, things are looking well at this point for the championship leader. Kira Moore in 6th, losing a little bit of time. Will end up in the same group here as Dale Blanco. Started on the 9th row, finished 2nd last night to Lucero. So we know the 67 team has had pace all weekend. Seems like a lot of teams have kind of caught up there to where the 67 was. But Moore having a pretty good weekend nonetheless here. Moore 8th in points going in that same fight with Chavez, Carter, Megalos. Moore's in that exact same fight. Luisa Floros in that fight as well. So very tight fight for that last promotion spot. Moore, unfortunately, behind a couple of those drivers right now. Del Blanco has not had a great season as a rookie in the series, but a top 10 finish would be a really nice way to end the season. It build momentum for the 56 team, especially over the last couple races here, or last couple oval races at least, with Chicagoland and Atlanta coming up. 8th place, Yumina Mizuno. Mizuno not in the top 15 in points. We saw a little bit of the strength that Mizuno did have on the short ovals at Milwaukee. Team Sakura as a whole looked really well at Milwaukee. And right now, Mizuno, the best Team Sakura car on the track here on Saturday night. Chavez in 9th. Really keeping the pressure applied to Carter, to Megalos, to everyone trying to gain points on her for that promotion spot at the moment. Not the happiest with her car, but not the most unhappy either. Fastest of the Aguila cars and the highest running of the Aguila cars at the moment. And it is not much of a contest there. The 10th spot being right now secured by Rex Rowley, who did really well last night as well. That 72 car just really firing on all cylinders here on these big ovals. Trying to battle now with Felicia Zappa, who's also really good on these big ovals. Zappa was really competitive. One of the more competitive cars last night. Got taken out in an accident. Did not have a chance to really show the full potential of that 50 car. That 50 car, a backup, still battling for a top 10 spot at the moment. And right now, as things sit, would be second in points going into Chicagoland next weekend. That's a big deal. And whoa, Zappa just tagged the wall. And just like that, back down to the 11th spot, and hoping that there's not any significant damage on that 50 car. Everyone fighting the understeer at this point. Zappa being the most recent victim of that. Nara Takarasi, another victim of understeer, sitting right now in the 12th spot. Let's see with where Chavez is at, where Carter, Megalos, Moore, and Floros are all at. This is going to be a very interesting fight. Floros dropped back quite a bit, though. So not quite as imposing here at this point. Floros actually now a lap down after having to make an unscheduled pit stop. Yuya Ishii up to 13th place. Race winner at Sonoma. The Yanjian Motorsport car spent the early stanza of this race in the back 9. Satomi Ray was up to 13th at one point. There's Floros, the yellow and blue car that just flew by with fresh tires. Expect Floros to flash up at the top of the board once we actually get to the main pit sequence. Sadakito in 14th place, started this race in 34th. Trying to get his way back forward. He's already in 14th place. He was up in the top 10, battling for the top 5 places. Field is a little bit more spread out to do that again here at this point. But another caution would make things pretty interesting for the 22 team as he battles with Katrina Ochoa, the second of the Aguila cars. Ochoa battling for 14th place right now at the moment. Another driver not in the top 15 in points. But with 3 races to go, Ochoa expected to be sports car bound in 2025. Aguila just happy that Ochoa is still putting in the effort at this point, especially in the team standings where it's very necessary given where Espinosa's at right now, still sitting a lap down at the moment in the 26th position. Roberto Crown Jr., the fall off for him has been pretty dramatic here so far in this event. 16th place after battling for the race lead on more than one occasion. It has been everything but that for Crown so far in this second stanza. And he has not been a happy camper about it. He is someone that's expected to also make a return to the AT&T Cup Series next year. That's where he cut his teeth. He's hoping to be able to go back to that. It's not been a successful season for him in the Challenger Series. He's kind of been out to water here. Espinosa in 26 after that speeding penalty. A lap down is what she is so far. Not the only one. There's 4 cars a lap down. Fang a lap down. Flores a lap down after making an early pit stop. And then you have Arashi Seto, who came down pit lane, had a penalty as well. It's not been a fun time there. And then Valerie Fang, who is wounded and finally going a lap down after really kind of being saved from going a lap down earlier on in this event. Pulsatrix in the 18th spot, battling with Satomi Ray. Pulsatrix not having the greatest of weekends at the moment. Started today's race in 24th, finished 24th yesterday. As the car comes down, that's Crown. And more cars coming down. So pit window is open now. Now make sure that we have one more pit stop left to go in this race, about lap 180. Cars coming down pit lane. That's Ray coming down pit lane, as is Kurichenko and Amara. How about the race leader, Bianca Lucero? No, Lucero stays out another lap. Lucero amassed a pretty substantial race lead in this window here. There's Takarasi going a lap down. Lucero still staying out despite being 3 seconds slower. Takarasi will get a lap back, as will Floros. Lucero staying out, expecting the potential caution like what we saw last night. One more cars down pit lane here. Lucero stays out yet again. She's feeling very confident right now, and honestly, with the car that she's had, she can work through the field if she needs to. I wonder if Lucero has been trying to save some fuel a little bit with the advantage that she had on the field to maybe try to cut that last pit stop out. That's a stretch. It's a huge stretch. You'd have to take about 10 laps of saving per stint here. But she's already 5 laps close to that. She's on lap 126 now. So if she goes 5 more laps, then it's kind of a feasible possibility here. We'll see where she's at. I believe this might be an in call. It is. So she got past lap 125, but that'll be the furthest she can go. Lucero in pit lane now. Very interesting to see where Lucero cycles out there, because she lost a lot of time staying out as long as she did. I'm very curious to see where she cycles out here. Floros will end up with the race lead as we expected. She's off sequence. Kind of all over the place right now. Actually, Koivu would end up being the race leader out of all of that. Chavez had a really slow pit stop, so Chavez is a lap down legitimately right now and in danger of staying that way with Koivu. Koivu passed Lucero straight up in that pit cycle. Was the only one to do so. Right now, 11 cars on the lead lap. Obviously, Floros a big factor in that right now. A lot of cars between Floros and Koivu. Floros in turn 1 right now. Koivu just now out of 4. Lucero closing in massively right now. Koivu 28.6. Looking at right now for Koivu 28.8 for Koivu that time around. 28.2 for Lucero. Lucero is flying at the moment, but so is Carter. This is actually going to be really interesting to follow along with, thinking about it. Floros is now in the no, almost in the window. Almost spoke too soon, but will be in the window where she's going to be making her last stop. She could be back in the race lead here when everyone else makes their last stop. This is going to be very intense. Right now, she's at a disadvantage because she's been on those tires longest. So that will not help her out at all. But she's going to cycle back to the front of the field here, and it's going to be very hard for them to catch her with less than 20 laps. That could be potentially killer right now. She's 9th in points right now. It'd be an instant jump to at least 6th. To at least 6th, yeah. Ooh, really close. It'd be really close to jumping that 75 right into the top 5 on just right off the top there. That'll be very close to follow along with here. This is the battle for second between Lucero and Koivu. Lucero has really closed in. Koivu pit earlier than Lucero did. So Lucero's got better tires than Koivu does right now and is showing. But Koivu's not focused so much on the race win. Focusing right now on beating Espinoza, which she's doing handily right now. Beating Zappa, which she's doing handily right now. Beating Takarasi and beating Chavez. Those are the cars that are in range. So is Carter. You're keeping yourself at arm's distance from all of those cars. That's your goal to securing the championship early. Is stay ahead of those that are right there around you. There's not a fight there for Lucero. Lucero was able to go around pretty easily, but I think Lucero's fight is easily become try to gain as much time as possible on Floros and hope that you can do it again at the end of the race. There's Carter in 4th, Clark in 5th, Megalos in 6th. This could be a really big day for Faceporia in terms of figuring out if they're going to be in that promotion conversation or not. Is a big battle here. This is Mizuno. This is more center of your screen. That's Blanco and Riley. All of them in the top 10 here. Takarasi in 11th. It's Tommy Ray back up to 13th. proof that Floros has come down pit lane. No, there's Floros. Floros just got past. Sort of where Lucero's at the moment. But for Floros, not a huge deal. We're in a good spot right now, sitting second. You've got one pit stop to go. Everyone else does too. And when you cycle through, you're going to be 100% a contender for the race win. Down to third here, and we'll continue to slip down the order here as we approach 50 laps to go in short order. Let's talk about how quick Lucero is. Went through the entire lap traffic here, which is insane. Lucero is on a different level at the moment. Just absolutely unreal for Lucero. Nine laps to go here in Kansas. Lucero leads over Koivu. A lot of lap traffic between the race leader and second place at the moment. And you have Jake Carter in third now, Clark in fourth, getting around Spasia Meglos there for that. With Floros in sixth. Right now, someone to keep an eye on. Potentially being back in the race lead with less than 20 laps to go, with pit stops on the horizon for everybody. There's Moore, there's Mizuno, there's Blanco in that mix. X Rally's in the top 10 once again. Takarasi in 11th, ahead of Quito. Satomi Ray looking for a good finish here as well, sitting 13th right now. Gina Ochoa in 14th spot at the moment. Paul Strix in 15th. And then it's Natalia Kurachenko, Karina Amara, Isabel Lantra. The last car on the lead lap. We have 18 cars on lead lap once again. I have a feeling we're not going to have that many on the lead lap by the time this is over, because Lucero is faster than she was yesterday. Watching the navigation of traffic here with Lucero. Putting cars a lap down here. This is now working on Kurachenko, who's in 16th at the moment. It's unreal what Lucero is doing at the moment. It is genuinely wild. Bolstrix there in 15th. You can imagine the being in traffic will allow the likes of Koivu to catch up. That is really not the case. Carter's gotten around Koivu for that second spot, but again, Koivu was one of the first ones to come down pit lane. So it'll end up flipping its way back around on the last pit stop sequence. At least that's the intention for them, at least, is that it's going to. Gap between Carter and Lucero is still pretty massive at this point. Here comes Floros down pit lane. Floros have dropped pretty significantly over those last few laps. Lucero's gotten around Bolstrix there. Quito now the last car on the lead lap at the moment. The gap though between Lucero and Carter, 11 seconds. That is how quick Lucero has been in this final stanza of the race with less than 40 laps to go. Once again, standing on an outstanding achievement so far. Race is not over. Obviously, we have one more pit stop sequence to go for most of the field still. Luisa Flores has made her last stop, though, so we know that she's good. And here she is. That is the difference between fresh tires and not. And now we're running 2 seconds faster than Lucero. Lucero up the road right here. So Flores will have some traffic to get through. It will not be just straightforward, easy to go here. Look at that, going to the outside lane to get around Paul Strix there. Not taking no for an answer. Floros charging forward. What is genuinely impressive about this right now, Floros is 2 laps down. Make that 1. Around the race leader she goes. Race leader still not expected to pit for another 13 laps at this point. Floros on the charge. It's Tommy Ray now in 10th place, the last car on the lead lap. Some pit stops beginning a little bit early here. Kira Moore coming down pit lane now, as is Rex Riley. Mara's also come down pit lane as well. A way more spaced out race than we saw last night. We expected everyone to be a little bit tighter together, but that has not been the case. There's Lucero actually in pit lane now. That's a huge deal. So Lucero's in pit lane now. I'm assuming in response to the speed that the 75 has put forward here. So that's completely changed things around a little bit. Lucero's trying to give herself enough time to actually fight to get this race win back, which is smart. We just didn't think that was going to be on the cards. So Floros walks around here. Most of the field come down early. Now the big question mark there, where's Lucero? There's Lucero, still in the race lead. That's where you cover it off. If she had waited the 10 laps that we were expecting, that we were forecasting, she would not have been in the race lead. Instead, now Floros will not have a chance to lead this race. Clark pit in from the race lead there. But Floros will be in the podium places. Right now sitting second. Looking for who would end up being third here. With Clark coming down pit lane, I believe third place would be... We're looking at this battle for third right now between Koivanemi and Carter, I believe, is what we're looking at here. Indeed, it is between these two, between Koivanemi and Carter for third. Between the 25 laps to go. Now their objective is trying to close in on the 75, who has got a pretty decent jump on him right now. It looks really hard to say no to Lucero being able to sweep the weekend here. Up to 14th place has been lapped. Quito, last car on the lead lap in 13th. Clark in 12th. Satomi Ray up to 11th place at the moment. So Satomi Ray trying to break through and grab a top 10 for the first time in her Champ Car career. Takarasi in 10th, just up the road. So very possible for the 04 team. Blanco in 5th, Carter in 4th. So Crystal Cove having overall a pretty good day. Koivanami getting through some of the lap traffic. It's Crown up ahead of Koivanami there. Part of that battle for 3rd. Right now, not much of a contest at the front. 8 seconds the gap between Lucero and Floros. Another 7 seconds between Floros and Koivanami. Lucero has been absolutely dominant so far. 131 laps led out of the 179 that's been completed. 20 laps led by Floros, 10 laps led by Clark, 11 laps led by Moore. Those were your most laps led leaders there. 6 laps led by Amara. Not as many lap leaders as we saw last night. Here comes Carter, charging back forward, trying to get the 3rd place. Gonna have a really good chance at it here into 1 and 2. Again, for Koivanami, the question isn't so much about Carter. The question is more about Espinoza. It's about Zappa. It's about Takarasi and Chavez. The objective is to try to make sure you maintain more than a 50-point gap through Ensenada. That locks it up before we get to Atlanta. And right now she's going to have a massive points lead. Felicia Zappa, we said at one point was going to be pretty firmly in 2nd place in points. That is no longer the case. Felicia Zappa down in the 23rd position. Espinoza in 22nd spot. 24th is Espinoza. Takarasi looking the best of the bunch right now of those that are in pursuit, sitting only in 10th. And Maria Chavez right now in 20th. Not a great time if you're trying to win a championship right now, unless you're Koivanami, in which case things are going swimmingly. There's Zappa right there, the 50 car. 22nd on the racetrack, being passed now by Koivanami. That's a bittering feeling, but here is Floros. Older tires, gonna bite her a little bit, but for Floros, still gonna be a net positive with how things are looking right now. Coming to 16 laps to go. Almost guaranteed at this point a top 10 run. The amount of time left in this race. Carter going for 2nd place. Again, race win pretty much out of reach entirely with where Lucero is right now on the racetrack. We have to scroll all the way up through the field. Lucero's at the start-finish line right now. Lucero's not far away from the race leaders. Cars on the lead lap. Quito's the last one, and he's about to go a lap down. And then it goes to Clark, Ray, and Megalos, who are battling for the top 10. Takarasi in 9th. Then it's Riley in 8th, and then you have to go up to Mizuno and Moore, 7th and 6th for them. Blanco in 5th on an island. Floros down to 4th. Just trying to hold on to a top 10 run here. 20 laps led, pretty respectable there. Koivanami still battling with Carter for 2nd place. Because if you can beat Carter, then everyone that you need to worry about is behind you. Lucero, not a factor in the championship conversation, joined the season late after starting the season in the World Series. Not in championship contention. Carter's got a very long outside shot at it. So if you can snuff that out completely, then all's well on that front. Carter got checked up big time there. That was Sakurapshi battling with Chavez, and that is a battle for position. That's 19th and 20th. And they are not going to be kind to the points leader and the Jake Carter. Koivuniemen up to second with 12 laps to go. It is a 14-second gap from Lucero to Koivuniemen. That is significant. I want to talk about rebounding in a big way. This would be a really huge way to begin the final 3 races of the season. Beginning with Chicagoland next weekend. You come in to Chicagoland with a near 80-point advantage on the championship. That is a enormous ordeal. There's Espinosa not having a fun time and now being lapped by the championship leader. Once again, Espinosa 2 laps down. Takarassi's 4 laps down. Hold on, what happened to Takarassi? What happened to the 57? Is the 57 out? 57 is out. 57's out with an engine failure. Oh no. Takarassi was one of the last challengers that had a decent spot. And that's gone. Takarassi was looking set. Takarassi was in range to go from 4th to 2nd in points. And that is completely gone. Takarassi now classified 27th. That is massive. That is a huge blow for Takarassi. Takarassi now behind Carter, behind Chavez, behind Zap, behind everybody that was in that conversation. That is a gut punch. We're on 8 laps to go here. We're watching the 2nd place car, Koivuniemen, pull away from Carter too. That's the surprising part, I think, right now for me, is that Koivuniemen is pulling away from Carter now. Seven to go now. Koivuniemen is going to have a really good lead. A really, really good lead. This is going to be over 80 points. This is going to be over 80 points, the advantage. As things sit right now, even dropping to 3rd, it's still about 82 points. Which is mental. This championship at the very end of the season has blown wide open for Koivuniemen. And just like what we're seeing in the World Series with Evangeline Porter, it has not been about just purely getting the wins. It's about taking the results you're getting and being consistent with them. And Koivuniemen's found that consistency this season. And this is the track type. These larger ovals have been a track type where Koivuniemen has been inconsistent. Koivuniemen's first podium in Champ Car came at Homestead, Miami, another 1.5 mile oval. One of her worst results ever in her career also came on a 1.5 mile oval here at Kansas back in 2019. So she's not had a fun time on these 1.5 mile ovals. It's been very up and down, very feast or famine. Right now she's feasting, sitting with 4 laps to go. It is all eyes on Bianca Lucero, half a lap ahead at this point, but not really in range of putting any other cars a lap down, with Takarassi being retired. Clark is in 11th. He's the last car on the lead lap now after Asada Quito was put a lap down. Importantly, Satomi Ray trying to bring another top 10 home for the 04 car, the part-time car for Yanjian Motorsport, and right now that has been the case. Ray sitting in the 9th spot, not been able to really pass Megalos, but did get around the 72 of Rex Riley, who's sitting in 10th. Floros in 7th. Right now, looking set to stay in the top 10. Teammates there, 7th and 8th. Carter struggling to get around Ishii. Mara, unfortunately, the race not where she wanted to be here. Losing a spot to Chavez there, a lap down. We have an aiming again, distant second. White flag is in the air, 1 lap to go for Bianca Lucero to sweep the weekend. The first Champ Car weekend sweep since Alicia Kovalkiewicz in Toronto 2018. The first national championship sweep since 1991. Out of turn 4 for the final time. Bianca Lucero goes 2 for 2 in Kansas. She wins the Hollywood Casino 300 in dominant fashion. 152 laps led of 200. Chloe Vanemi in second, an 86-point advantage entering Chicagoland for Chloe Vanemi atop the championship standings. A massive, massive swing this weekend in favor of Chloe Vanemi. In a weekend where everyone else had a bad weekend, Chloe Vanemi had one of her best. It is all eyes, though, on Bianca Lucero. The weekend sweep complete. And has now four race wins on the season for Obsidian Racing Team. The decision to move both their cars to the Challenger Series, a very, very successful decision, to say the least, with 3 races to go in the Challenger Series season. We're back in action tomorrow. It is the World Series, 1 p.m. here on ABN from Watkins Glen. Road course racing, 5 races to go for the Champ Car World Series. We can't wait to see you there in Seneca Lake. Next weekend, another doubleheader, but it is back-to-back races. Saturday night here at Chicagoland Speedway is going to be the Champ Car Challenger Series, the World Series on Sunday there in Chicagoland. Next 2 weekends covered there for you here on ABN for both the Champ Car World Series and the Champ Car Challenger Series. Bianca Lucero, the race winner, ahead of Rachel Clevenamy. Jake Carter rounding out the podium here tonight. The results scrolling at the top of your screen. You have Dale Blanco in 4th, so a good double top 5 for Crystal Cove Racing here in Kansas to end off the weekend, following what was a very abysmal weekend for the team yesterday. Kira Moore rounding out the top 5 there for Frostfire Racing. Another competitive race for the 67 crew, trying to get into the top 5 conversation. A result like that will help out given where everyone else ended up here. We'll talk about that in a second. Yumina Mizuno rounding out the top 6 there ahead of Luisa Floros and Aspasia Megalos. The gamble did pay off for Floros, a top 10 finish, 7th place ahead of her teammate there. Double top 10 for Faceporia Racing Team. 9th place belongs to Satomi Ray, locking in another top 10 finish for the 04 car. The part-time car worked out this weekend. Rex Riley ended up in the top 10 ahead of Jace Clark. They were the last 2 cars on the lead lap there. Clark in 11th, Asada Quito in 12th ahead of Amity Pulsatrix. A good result for Pulsatrix. Good result overall for Fortune Racing there with 10th and 13th. Katrina Ochoa in 14th. Didn't expect Ochoa to be the best car for Escuderia Aguila, but that is indeed the case there. 14th for Ochoa ahead of Natalia Kurachenko in 15th. Isabel Lantra in 16th, Karina Sakurauchi in 17th, Maria Chavez in 18th place, Karina Amara in 19th, and 20th place is Yuya Ishii. Felicia Zappa in 21st ahead of Seth Smith Jr. with Autosport not having the day that they were looking for, despite all the potential that those cars started the weekend with. nowhere to be found at the end of the weekend here. Arashi Seto behind Seth Smith Jr. there in 23rd, ahead of Valerie Fang, Roberto Crown Jr., Isabel Espinoza, the last car running in 26th for car 26. We had the lap 1 accident that took out 7 cars. Nara Takarasi not a part of that. The last retirement we saw there, 14 laps from the finish in 27th. Those involved in the lap 1 crash, Maria Damata, Rika Venäläinen, Keisha Fox, Mia Vitsut, Sonia Walker, Katerina Malinkovic, and Sora Hoshino all saw their weekends end very early here tonight. Koivuniemen extends the championship gap significantly heading into Chicagoland next weekend. The positions behind Koivuniemen, second all the way down, really almost to the top, the edge of the top 10, tightens up as we head into the last 3 races of the season. We're glad you joined us here tonight. Join us again tomorrow afternoon in Watkins Glen for the World Series here on ABN. On behalf of everyone here for ABN Studios, for Horizon Corporation, for Champ Car in the Firestone Champ Car Challenger Series. Signing off from Kansas. We'll see you tomorrow from New York. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you next time.